tough loss for Bengals Nation this past weekend, but we're here to talk you off the ledge. We're here to let you know it's not quite as bad as you thought it was. And really, if you take a look and all to the freak things that happened in this game that caused the Bengals to end up losing, uh, you probably really shouldn't have lost the game. That doesn't sound great, but if you look at it, there's a lot of good things that came out of the game as far as things that you can look at as, okay, maybe this game wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was. So Nick, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna get you started thinking on a positive note. So Bengals fans, while there may have been a lot of miscues to this game, first game of the season, short memory. We're on to the next game. Tell us though, who do you think the brightest spot was in this game? There was a couple of new additions. Hayden Hurst looked pretty good. Jamar Chase looked good. Joe Mixon looked good. Tell us in the comments below, of all of the players in the game, who do you think was the brightest spot of this game? But Nick, what do you have on the Bengals?
So the Bengals, obviously, this is a tough loss, like you alluded to. This was a game where they had no business being in when you look at the turnovers. 5 turnovers, 4 picks, and a lost fumble, all by Burrow. And then when you factor in 2 late missed kicks, a blocked PAT that should have won it, and the potential game winner near the end of overtime, the 29-yarder, there was absolutely no reason when you have those things happen to you in a single game that you're going to win the game. But here's the great news, Bengals fans. That's all a statistical anomaly. That cannot physically happen again. Like, you'd have to play 3,000 games in order to have 5 turnovers on your side, none on the other side, and have that same disaster in a kicking game. And not just only is it a statistical anomaly, the Bengals went out and made sure to correct that. And I'm going to give you the first story here, is that obviously the Bengals had injuries at long snapper earlier in the game, and as reported by the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the Bengals have signed a new long snapper from Pitt. His name's Cal Adamitis. Was a high quality long snapper coming out of college, so he's going to come and address that need right away. But I want to focus on one other thing real quick, and this is really the meat of the story. Obviously, Joe Burrow had a tough day, 5 turnovers, 4 picks, not his best performance at all. After the game, this is reported by Fox 19's Cincinnati's Jeremy Rauch, noted that Joe Burrow hasn't showered. This is well after the game had ended. Hasn't changed, still wearing most of his uniform. Been sitting at his locker staring forward since the game ended. This is a guy in Joe Burrow who we know he has swagger. We know he's ultra competitive. He probably cannot believe what just occurred on the football field this past Sunday for the Bengals. And you better believe a guy who relies on so much motivation and has so much competitive desire in him that Joe Burrow is going to come back really strong after this performance. And Miles, I want to hear your thoughts on everything from Burrow and the Bengals going forward. Before I hand it over to you, let's hear it from our sponsor. No House Advantage is changing the game by offering the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. Play in pick'em contests versus other people for the shot at winning $150,000.
Wow.
Plus, that's in cash. It's easy. Download the app, choose a context, select your player props, and earn points for correct picks and climb the leaderboard for your shot to win big money every single day. You can also test your skills versus the house and potentially 20x your entry if you hit all of your picks. Bet on up to 5 player prop over-unders or individual player matchups across every major sports league, including NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, PGA, MMA, and, of course, NASCAR.
That's right, Nick. And it's easy as just signing up today with our promo code SMI at nohouseadvantage.com, or to download their app on the App Store to get a first deposit match of up to $25. So make sure you go check out No House Advantage today and experience daily fantasy sports redefined, because it's not just how you play, but it's also where you play. You won't want to miss out on this. All right, Nick, big thanks to the sponsor of today's video. We couldn't do it with people like them, without people like them, rather. But I like what you said, getting back to Joe Burrow at the locker. He's really being introspective, thinking about the game. You know, it's going to eat at him. He's going to build on it. And I promise you, not only statistically is this game extremely unlikely to ever happen anything like it again, Joe Burrow is going to make sure it doesn't happen again, because he doesn't lose. He hates losing. You know, made it to the Super Bowl, won national championship with LSU. He's not a loser, and he's not going to tolerate it. So something like this is a statistical anomaly for Joe Burrow. So I want to touch on something else that we can think of, because you think, okay, he threw 4 picks. This guy stinks. He's horrible. How could you possibly do that? Well, I want to take you all the way back to 2012. And this is a year where a Hall of Fame quarterback, Drew Brees, threw 5 interceptions and 0 touchdowns. And so you're going to tell me a guy like Drew Brees stinks? No. What happens is you just have a bad day. Sometimes people have a bad game. You have a bad day. There's 17 games in a season. Quarterbacks play hundreds of games in their career. You're gonna have a bad day. You just got to get over it and move on to the next one. And I really think that Burrow is going to be able to get over this hump, and we're going to see the same great Burrow who took them on a long, long playoff run to the Super Bowl. Don't you think?
Well, one thing I really like about it from Burrow's perspective is after the second or even the third interception, this guy didn't go into check down mode. He didn't give up. We see a lot of quarterbacks that have bad games and they're behind. They kind of just give up. They kind of just go through the motions. They're worried about making a bad game worse. Burrow reminded me of a former NBA or the late great former NBA legend, Kobe Bryant. When Kobe Bryant would have a bad shooting day through, a half or 3/4, he did not stop. He kept going after it because he knew it was on him. The Lakers were going to win on Kobe Bryant's shoulders. If he was not going to stop shooting, he was the guy, he was the leading scorer, he was the head honcho, he was the leader. That's exactly what Burrow is. And having that mentality, hey, listen, I'm having a bad day, interceptions, fumbles, it's going south, but to stick with it and to keep powering through and to keep driving your team to give this close to winning, and they should have won the game without the special team snafus. I really love that mentality. Obviously, the post-game report shows exactly where his mind's at and his competitiveness, but the fact that he kept shooting, the fact that he didn't quit, that's such a big part of this Bengals team, the Joe Burrow mystique, which I think is going to carry them through the rest of the season.